remember looking over my left shoulder and on the horizon, watching the silhouette of what would become a 50-foot wave. A wave the size of a building, a 5-story building. What would happen next is that wave, that moment in time, would completely transform my life forever. And this afternoon I want to talk to you about these transformational moments. These moments in time that we all have, that we can remember exactly where we were, what we were doing when specific events took place. Now, they happen on global scales. They're those big global moments that transform the world. But if we scale them back, we have them on a much more personal level. It could be your wedding day. It could be the birth of your children. We need to understand that we are all here for different motivators, different purposes. What gets you out of bed in the morning could be different to the person sitting next to you. And as leaders of this organisation, again, I encourage you to take the time to ask your teams, why are people there? Get to know them on that intimate level. Their purpose, why are they part of this team? But we realised we needed something that unified us. And we came up with a statement. We came up with our compelling goal. And like any organisation, it took us 3 months to get the words exactly right. But we aimed to complete this expedition in a safe and successful manner, to work to our individual strengths, but to also work closely as a team. And we aim to enjoy all aspects of this once-in-a-lifetime adventure and share it with our family and friends. And you can probably see, I can see all of us up there, the 5 of us. And then once we decided we had that compelling goal, we knew that destination, we started to understand and build out the relationships and the culture of our team, understanding each other's motivations and purpose. We then started to say, well, what are the behaviours that we commit to as a team that will drive success for us? We understand each other's motivations or purpose. We have that compelling goal, that statement that aligns us as one team. Now we needed to outline the behaviours that our team would commit to that would drive us to success, that would make this dream become reality. And again, it was a simple yet powerful set, a list of behaviours that we, as a team, align behind. Discipline and safety, humour and enjoyment, open and honest communication, punctuality, recognition, and second effort. I had a lot of people in my life that told me, you're not going to make it, you're not going to do this, why even try? You know, the I told you so people? You know, those people we have in our lives, we've all got them. They like to live their lives here, in this little comfort zone place. It's nice and warm and cozy. They never dare want to venture out because it's scary out there. But those people always seem to be the ones to criticise, to judge, to say, I told you so, when you might try something different, unique, challenging, out of your comfort zone. You put the bar, the North Star high, and you say, this is where we're going, what we're going to do. Sometimes you don't make it. Failure is part of life, but they're the first ones to say, told you so. I knew you wouldn't do it. Let me tell you, folks, I had a whole town of people like that. Where I grew up in Sydney, I didn't grow up near the beaches. I didn't grow up sailing boats. I come from a very single-parent family, very blue-collar part, working-class part of Sydney. People where I grew up in Sydney did not become adventurers, did not sail yachts. I had a whole town of people that were kind of waiting for me to fail. And I felt that pressure. There was one person in particular, my brother. I have one older brother. He's 18 months older than me, and we're very, very different people. And I remember he was probably the biggest negative voice in my life around these times. And I remember one night being at a friend's birthday party, and I was telling people about this journey I was going to undertake in 18 months, how excited I was and all the planning that was coming about it. I remember he came across, we were at the same party, and he grabbed my shirt and he grabbed me by the collar and he walked me outside the restaurant. We were around outside, and he started yelling at me, and he started poking me in the chest, saying to me, will you stop telling people that you're going to go to Antarctica? Will you stop telling people you're going on this expedition, because you're not going to do it? And he said, you're going to embarrass yourself and you're going to embarrass our family. He said, now stop it. And he shoved me. And he turned around and he walked back inside, and I remember I just got physically upset and I went home. And I remember for quite a few weeks after that, I couldn't get over the fact that my own flesh and blood, my brother, was someone so negative towards me, towards this journey, this dream that I had. But I reflect on it now, and I reflect on it over the years, and I'm glad he was that person, or I'm glad I had those people in my life, because we need those people. We do, because if we had 100% positive people in our life, if I had a whole town of people, if every single one of you in this room were behind me saying, we believe in you, Matt, we know you're going to do it, you're going to knock it out of the park, you're going to be great, I wouldn't have done anything. I would have just walked around town going, I'm awesome. But it's the one voice, the one person that says you can't do it, you're not going to do it, you're going to fail. They're the voice that makes you say, well, why not? Why can't I? What's stopping me? And you know what? In fact, I'm going to do it just so I can say to you, I did it. And that's how I felt with my brother. We have these negative voices in our life, folks. They're all around us. What you need to do is use those negative voices. Turn them into a positive, whatever way you can. Because they're there. They'll become the driving force when the chips are down, when things are tough, and when they were for me, when there were big storms outside, when I was scared for my life, when I wanted to go home, when I wanted to quit in the preparation stages, when I was working too long, when I wasn't having the life of a 20-year-old going to parties, when I said enough's enough, my brother's voice would come into my head saying, told you so, I knew you wouldn't do it, and I'd continue. Now I have to tell you a funny story about the photograph in the middle there. A lot of times when I'm asked to speak at conventions similar to this around the United States and around the world, I'm often asked to come in a day early or stay a day late and speak to some local high schools or elementary schools. And it's something I really, really love doing. I love speaking to young people. And I was recently at an event in California, and the following day I went to a local elementary school where I spoke for 400 11-year-old kids. And for those of you who have kids that age or have had kids that age, 11's such a cool age because they still think you're cool. You know, a couple of years' time, you're not cool, but they think you are the coolest. So the doors open, they're in the gymnasium, they all come running in, and they try to get as close to you as possible. So by the end, you're like on the screen, and there's this line of them kind of like this. And I was talking, they're all studying Antarctica and social science, and I was talking to them about my journey and about the animals down there, and in particular the seals, their migrational habits, all of that stuff, and they were fascinated. And then from the very back of the room, this little 11-year-old kid yells out as loud as he can, "Look at the seal in the red pants!" Well, to an 11-year-old, that is the funniest thing they've ever heard. And they just were rolling around the ground, literally high-fiving one another. Just thought it was awesome. But the one boy, the little boy who actually yelled it out, he wasn't even laughing. He was just staring at me like, what do you got? Come on. And I had nothing. I'm being heckled by an 11-year-old. The only thing going through my mind was I'm going to say to him, oh, shut up, you haven't been there. And I thought, well, probably not a good thing. Just like the storms that I'd faced at the beginning part of this journey on the way down. Just like the storms that I've faced on all of the expeditions I've been on. Just like the storms, the challenges, the dark moments we face in our lives, we all have them. Eventually, the storm would end. It has to. The sun will always come out. The wind will finally stop blowing. In 6 days, after almost losing my life, after 6 days after saying goodbye to each other, I saw the outline of the coast of Australia. And I remember 2 days later, as I got off the boat at midnight on a Wednesday night in the cover of darkness, not a single person waiting for us. As we'd snuck in early to avoid all of the media circus that was waiting, we told them we'd arrive at 6, we got in at midnight just so we could be together and do it ourselves. I remember stepping foot off that boat onto Australian soil, onto solid ground. And let me tell you folks, I thought the greatest feeling in my life was setting foot onto the Antarctic continent. There was no greater feeling than that morning having the realization that I had a second chance at life. That I was going to see my friends, that I was going to be able to see my family again. I packed my bag really quickly, got all my belongings together, and I picked it up and I walked away down the dock. I got halfway down. I remember I stopped, and I don't know why. I stopped and I turned and I dropped the bag and I looked back. And I looked back at that little bathtub of a boat that I just spent the last 54 days on. More importantly, I looked at the 4 other people coming down the dock behind me, my team. And I realized right then, at that moment, that it was together and only together as one team that the 5 of us were able to turn the absolute worst moments of our lives, to come through absolute hell on earth and turn that dream of ours into reality. And at that moment, I was just overcome with that feeling. Now, that's a term, folks, that I use when I am able to share my story around the world. I talk to people about that feeling. You all know what that feeling is. You've all experienced it in some capacity in your life. You know, it's that feeling you get when you take on something new, challenging, different, out of your comfort zone. And as you set that North Star and you say, this is what we're going to achieve, this is where we're headed. And it's big and it's scary and at times you think unachievable, but you say, that's it. And you start the process. And along the way, you have your setbacks, you get knocked down, the storms come in, but you always get back to your feet and you say, no, nothing is going to stop me. And then one day, you cross that finish line. Now, more often than not, ladies and gentlemen, that finish line, it's invisible. There's no big party, the band's not waiting for you, the champagne's not flowing, but you know it here and you know it here. That, ladies and gentlemen, is the greatest feeling in the world. It's the greatest blessing that we've been given to achieve that feeling. And I honestly believe in this day and age, we don't have enough of it. We don't feel it enough. So my ask of you, when you leave here this afternoon, tomorrow, whenever it is, when you go back home, think about it. What is it in life that gets you to that feeling? What is it in life? It's all different for each and every one of us. For me, it's to the end of the earth, but it's different for each of us. And please, continue to strive, continue to push, continue to want to achieve that feeling in life. Because the number one lesson that I learnt through this journey was that this, right now, this beautiful, beautiful gift that we've all been given, and life, ladies and gentlemen, it is a gift. It can be snatched from us, it can be taken in the blink of an eye. I would rather be ashes than dust. I would rather my spark burn out in a brilliant blaze than be stifled by dry rot. I would rather be a meteor, every atom of me in magnificent glow, than a sleepy and permanent planet. The proper function of a man is to live, not to exist. I will not waste my days trying to prolong them. I will use my time. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you. Thank you very much.